This is Forge Daily with Mackenzie Barwell on the Forge Audio Network.
Forge FC are hosting the 2023 CPL final, which means this club has been in every single one since the league itself started in 2019. I had to start the episode that way because honestly, that's all I've been thinking about the past 2 days, but let's get right into it. Welcome back to another episode of Forge Daily. I am your host, Mackenzie Barwell, here to give you all things Forge FC. Today is October 16th, 2023, and let me tell you, these next 2 weeks on the Audio Network are going to be good. In today's episode, we'll unpack Saturday's matchup in Calgary and then listen into that post-match press conference and quickly go over what went down on the other end of the CPL playoff bracket. I was watching the game at home, screaming in my living room. I know tons of Forge fans were actually at Wingporium to watch it together, which was awesome. Looking at Forge FC's starting lineup, a little bit of a different look without Woobens Pacius, who was unavailable for this match. His availability for the finals is still unclear, and we'll look into that for some more clarity as these next 2 weeks pass. Taryn Campbell would be alongside Benny Badabanga, and then Kyle Bekker with some more freedom playing in an attacking number 10 position. Then Noah Jensen getting the start alongside Ali Hijabrapur. And later on in the match, Malik Dom Abu and David Chouanier would enter, which was nice for David specifically because he's been out with his injury for a good portion of the season. Right out the gate, Cavalry would come out fiery. But Forge right there with them, 28 minutes into the game, Forge go up 1-0 off an own goal from Kyle Bekker's corner kick, which would kind of knock the wind out of this Cavalry team and bring most of the momentum to Forge. Fast forward to the 50th minute, a clever back heel from Rezat Rama to Noah Jensen, who would then take a touch and lay it off to Captain Kyle Bekker, who would strike this ball one time into the back of the net. And if you haven't seen the replay yet, trust by the passion in my voice that you have to go back and watch it because this ball was not rolling, okay? It was bouncing, and Jordan Wilson on the broadcast made a good point in that most players are taking a touch here, but no, not Kyle Bekker. Absolutely unreal. And we'll stay on theme here of keeping it to the Coles notes. So 80th minute comes around, and it's Cavalry's Joe Mason who makes an impact off a substitution. He buries one off a corner kick. You got to give it to him. It was an impressive header, but it would not be enough. And after the longest 7 minutes of my life, Forge close out the extra time and finish the match 2-1. So the final battle to the North Star Cup will happen at Tim Hortons Field, October 28th at 5 p.m. The last time the final was staged in Hamilton was 2021, when Forge took their only CPL final loss to Pacific 2-1. And briefly looking at potential opposition for this game, we will find out this Saturday on the 21st. Now, not to say that Charlie and I were making any predictions in our episode last week, but if I was, I know I would have been off because Pacific went on to beat York, halting their win streak in the first round, and then they do the same to Halifax the following Saturday afternoon, both matches finishing 1-0, and looking slightly cagey as we kind of forecasted last week. So in these last 2 playoff matchups, 2 away sides are going home with the win, Forge and Pacific. Regardless of what the outcome is, though, between Cavalry and Pacific this weekend, it'll either be a rematch of that 2021 final or the 2023 1-2 regular season rivalry. Pacific likely feeling pretty confident. They've got 2 playoff wins already under their belt in a week. Now, I have to add, though, since I am recording this a little later in the day, something just came to light that I'm able to add. Pacific's player of the match from their last one against Halifax, Kunle Dadaluk, this is the same guy who collided with Malcolm Duggan a couple weeks ago at Tim Hortons Field, has been suspended for the next 2 games and consequently the rest of the season for a post-match confrontation between himself and some members of the Halifax Wanderers. He would receive a red card, but Pacific will appeal it. If they're not successful, though, this is a pretty big loss for them. So just something to keep in mind ahead of this weekend and potentially if Forge do face them in the final. All right, let's turn back to Forge and Cavalry. We heard from Captain Kyle Bekker and Coach Bobby at that post-match press conference on Saturday. Here were some of their words.
Yeah, it's an excellent feeling. It's not something that's easily accomplished. It's a hard thing to win. It's a hard thing to play in these big games, and everything comes down to margins. Today the game was about margins. 2 very good teams out there playing very good football. I think, although maybe the fans leave disappointed, it was an exciting match. It gave a lot to everyone. It keeps on showing the growth of this league. As for us, we're going to enjoy a couple of days off right now to rest some bodies and then prepare for another big one. And these games are always special. You sometimes can go your whole career as a player, maybe a coach, and not have the opportunity to play in these, so you can't take them for granted. We're looking forward for the opportunity to try and win one at home in front of our own crowd. I think there's a massive will and desire in this club. The toughest challenge we've had as a coaching staff and even as players from the start of the year is to keep everyone hungry and motivated. It's a tough thing to do. Maybe that's why Michael Jordan stopped after 3 years, took a year off, and went after it again. It's tough to keep on going and keeping players at the highest level, and I think that's what we've seen this year is a little bit the up and downs of what we've had in the season. But it's go time. We know that these ones are one and done. We didn't think of this game as you come here, you lose, you get another chance. It was more of a one and done type of game for us, with no thought process into what's next, because I think that would have been a difficult one for us.
The only thing I can think about is the message I said to the guys before the game. When you're growing up, you want to play in massive games like this. But the reality is when you're a professional, playoff games for trophies don't come around too often, so you got to cherish them. And we've been lucky enough to now going into the fifth final of Forge FC. It's awesome. This is stuff you play on your front lawn about, play in the backyard about when you're growing up, and I don't know, it's just fun. Losing sucks. Honestly, it's we have a bunch of guys in there who've been on a lot of losing teams in their career. It's difficult, and when you have the chance to win, when you're a part of that, it I don't know, people feed off of it. You want more of it. Once you get a taste of it, you just want to keep going. So I've been on the other side many times, and this is better. So just keep going.
And before we close it out, it was just announced, surprise, surprise, Coach Bobby is one of the nominees for the 2023 CPL Coach of the Year. He is alongside Cavalry's Tommy Wilden Jr. and Halifax's Patrice Geyser. So we'll find out who takes the hardware home on October 26th. Stay tuned. We will dive into this a little bit more in the coming days, and Behind the Beard, of course, on Wednesday. So as I said, it'll be an exciting next 2 weeks of the Forge Audio Network. Thank you all so much for listening, and have a fantastic rest of your Monday.
This has been Forge Daily with Mackenzie Barwell. If you like what you heard, please like, follow, subscribe, comment, and share.